So I just spent about 30 minutes trying to record everything for this video, only to have everything fuck up. Just keep in mind that I will be a bit more frustrated than I actually should be about all of this, purely for that reason. With that being said, so I just finished watching the Red Pill Black and Blaire White debate, and what the fuck did I just watch?
She knows a thing or two about me.
This video is going to be a rant going through the things that I just basically found really fucking weird about this. I have a lot to say about this. I will try to keep this brief, but take a look at how long the video is and it'll give you an idea of how much I failed to do that. So here we go. So we open the debate and not even 2 minutes in and I already know what this is going to be about. Both of these people, Blaire White and Candace Owens, are not really looking to talk to each other about the subject at hand. Even if they were looking to do that when they first got into the room and were about to start the debate, they definitely didn't want to do that after starting the debate itself. They immediately just started looking at other drama that they had about each other and throwing it at each other, and things just kept going off topic because they didn't want to talk about the topic at hand. They were just wanting to talk about other drama, and it was really obvious that this was the case. They were both talking over each other, both interrupting each other a lot, just leveling snide remarks at each other that really weren't necessary instead of actually getting out the information that they wanted to say. It didn't work. And for the rest of the debate it just stayed that way. So this was like, what, 1.5 hours of just this? In the context of actually looking at what the debate was supposed to be, this turned out to be very unproductive, extremely lacking in substance. The context being discussing and bringing to light once and for all the information about the website, ironing out certain differences with some of the allegations leveled at Candace and the allegations that Candace herself leveled at the people who were critiquing her. That was what it was supposed to be about, and it was about everything else but that. Nothing of substance was done. I, for one, just have more questions here. Now, I will say, both need to walk away from this really doing some serious reflection on how they actually spoke during this debate about being emotional and shouting at each other, making these really snide, unnecessary remarks just to get the other one angry. The reason that I am saying this about both people is to just let you know that I am not saying that one person was really awesome and one person was really terrible. I'm not trying to be really one-sided here. I don't want to do that, so that's why I'm saying I truly do believe that both people need to reflect a lot here. So with that being said, I do believe that Blaire White was the one that came out on top here. And I will explain why by basically doing what the purpose of this video is and talking about the things about Candace and what she said that really just irritated me and felt really strange to me. And that's really all I'm doing. I'm just looking at contradictions and stuff like that. I'm not trying to explain why I think it is or any nefarious things that Candace might be doing. I don't really care. I'm just saying the stuff that was pointed out as weird to me. So, oh boy. The immediate thing that just hit me right off the bat was Candace saying stuff about Blaire being a man. Now, whatever your opinions on transgender people are, doesn't matter. I'm not talking about that. What was odd about that was just the way that Candace kept bringing it up with a sense of urgency, as if it was a truth that would utterly destroy every single one of Blaire's points, and it absolutely didn't do that because it was pretty much irrelevant to the topic at hand. Candace can believe what she wants to believe about transgender people. She can use whatever pronouns or do whatever she wants. That's not the problem here, but the problem was, why did she insert it into the debate? Why did she just do that right at the beginning as well? She said something about wanting to make sure that her audience knew what her opinions were and everything, but honestly, I don't see why that's a good explanation. I don't see how that's a good excuse. You came to a debate to professionally talk about these allegations that didn't have anything to do with transgender people or anything like that. You are supposed to come out as the mature one who is not letting any of this get to you, who is actually clearly going to explain things. You trying to get under someone's skin and trying to cover it up by saying it's something to do with your audience just makes you look very immature, and it immediately sets me on edge about everything else you're gonna say. It immediately makes it look like you need to rely on other things because you can't just use your own arguments. Don't do that. I'm not saying that she was actually doing that and there was some nefarious plot against Blaire. I'm just saying that it looked like that, and it was just one of the things that did not help. Like, at the very start she says, "That is a grown man and I'm a woman, so it's not a cat fight because that is a grown man and I'm a woman." Right at the start, out of nowhere. It was so unnecessary. What's the point? what did it achieve? It didn't achieve anything. If anything, it just made it worse. So another thing. Candace kept saying, this is not an attack, this is fact. She kept saying that repeatedly throughout the entire thing. And then later on, this was brought up that she called Tree of Logic a crackhead or something like that. And she gets super defensive and says, I genuinely believe that Tree of Logic is on drugs. However, she then brings up that Blaire had called her trash or something. And here's the thing. Could Blaire not say that she genuinely believes that you are acting trash, or is it just you can do that and she can't? And as well, like, and there was a whole angle about, you know, her dealing exclusively in facts, but here's the thing. A lot of stuff that was just based on personal stuff as well. It's okay to have an emotional opinion about something. It's okay to say, yeah, well, I mean, it's on Twitter, and Twitter is not something that people can take seriously, and I was just kind of frustrated, so I called her a crackhead. It's okay to say that. Everybody makes mistakes. I would not judge you for saying that at all, because you're just like, okay, I admit it. But then you have to try and make it into something where you never made mistakes. It's like the whole dealing in facts thing, like sounding like Onision saying the word facts every now and again. Like, you don't need to defend every single thing that you've done because you said so yourself, you changed as a person. So doesn't that mean that you can say that you did make mistakes? Why do you have to act like you didn't make any mistakes and everything you've done was purely... Because even if you did something and then you changed your mind and you don't want to do that thing anymore, it can still be a mistake, even if your heart's in the right place. A mistake isn't just you accidentally doing something. A mistake could also be you believing something at the time and doing something with it and then realizing that that wasn't the best thing to do. That's a mistake. You saying that you don't want to apologize for that really doesn't come off well. Because sure, let's say that you really did change your mind and you don't want to make social autopsy anymore. Why not just be like, look, I had this terrible idea and I thought it was going to be okay, but it wasn't. You don't do that. Instead, you just say that your heart's in the right place. I get it, but that doesn't mean that you don't make mistakes. And not saying that they're mistakes, not admitting that they're mistakes really doesn't make you look good. So as I think I should at least a little bit attempt to organize this video, I've now put in a list of contradictions. These are all just things that Candace said that she immediately kind of said the opposite afterwards about, and that was just weird to me. And now I know that the things that I were talking about before included contradictions, but these were the ones that really struck me as contradictions. Number 1. Candace talks about the other YouTubers making videos on her and tries to connect this to Blaire herself. Even though Blaire said, look, I didn't make a video on you, I just jumped on a live stream for about 40 minutes and then jumped off. Even after that, Candace still tries to lump Blaire in with all these other YouTubers to try and make it look like as if it was a hive mind or something, like Blaire and all these other YouTubers on one end and then just Candace on the other end. And this was the picture that was being painted. Yet when Candace is talking about the harassment that she went through when she was in high school, she says, I don't want to bring other people into this. You just did. You brought in a whole bunch of other YouTubers, even though the discussion was just about Blaire and you. You go on to do that. So you can't just say that and then just do the opposite. You're just contradicting yourself. You're not doing what you said you would. 2. She says, you guys like to dig up everything I do, to Blaire, and then says that she was open about the website and says that she was open about everything since day one. So I know that this may be me just nitpicking someone saying something in a way that I didn't understand, and I might be overanalyzing this, but I think this is pretty interesting. Because they can't really be digging something up if you're open about it. And even if by digging you just mean that they are misinterpreting what you've said, why not just say that they're purposely misinterpreting what I've said and they're purposely misquoting me and trying to spin it? That's still not digging something up, that's just spinning something. Digging up is not a word to use here. 3. She says that when she was harassed when she was younger, she hated the idea of people being basically branded with this thing that they've done all their lives. She didn't really want people to focus on these harassers. She wanted them to kind of go on with their own life. She didn't want this mistake to be hung over them like this. And specifically, she makes the comment, people were talking about this not realizing that we were children. They didn't care that we were children. So keep that in mind. Even if you don't believe that this is Social Autopsy is a doxing website, it still collects people's information, such as their name and whatnot, and it connects them to the posts that they've made. How is that not making this thing hang over their heads? How is it not doing the opposite of what you said you wanted to happen? Especially since you said that you could allow minors to be submitted to the website, like 10-year-olds or whatever. Even if you believe that that's not doxing, this still demonstrates that this is the opposite of what you said you wanted to do. Candace says that Facebook, like getting profiles from Facebook and whatnot, isn't doxing. However, here's the thing, regardless of whether you believe that this is doxing, the point remains that people's Twitter handles, YouTube profiles, and basically any other account, most people don't have their full name. Unless it's like a business account or something. If it's a personal account, look in the comments section right now, you're probably going to get a bunch of people who have like either song lyrics in their name, a game they like, some random pun, just stuff like that. Do you not think that you then connecting, like you allowing people to basically have a tool where they can connect someone's real name and real info to their basically anonymous account, do you not think that that maybe is the opposite of what you said you wanted to do? Do you not think that that is making this person's comment hang over their head for the rest of their lives? Even if their friends and family, their close people in their lives knew about this anonymous account, it's still wrong because their professional life and people in the public will now know. It's still doing damage. How can you not think that this is something that does damage? And she said that she honestly believed that this would actually be a deterrent to stop people from saying things and to stop people from doxing and all that. And, okay, if she genuinely does believe that, she must not know anything about the internet because this would do the opposite, and it's demonstrated that it has been used to do the opposite. People just want to use it for doxing. It'll just encourage more of this. So this pretty much leads into number 4. Candace keeps talking about how she's just saying facts and dealing with concrete facts and dealing with stuff that she believes in with a lot of conviction. But then as soon as it's brought up, she says that she doesn't know and that she's new to the YouTube and she's new to doing this, so she doesn't know anything. And not even the way of saying, well, I didn't know that, so I changed my mind. Just in this way, like she acted like she always didn't know and that she was always upfront about not knowing. When that's just not true. Because before you said that you didn't know, before you were questioned about this stuff, you said these things with a lot of conviction. You can't just act like you've always been uncertain about these things. It's okay to change your mind and to admit that, oh, maybe I was wrong about that, maybe I don't know. But you didn't admit it, you just acted like you never knew. And again, this may be just nitpicking, but I honestly was very annoyed by this. I mean, at first she keeps saying that she thinks that Kiwi farms on YouTube are the deep web, and then Blaire points out that this isn't the deep web, and then she says, no, I don't know, stop trying to make it look like I said that I knew that they were, or whatever. It was just weird. And just a side note, folks, if you really want to know what the deep web is, just go watch Some Ordinary Gamers, just let Mudaha teach you. And then she says that she doesn't know how YouTube live streams and content work, but beforehand she was very adamant on saying that this is dogpiling and this is a funded misinformation campaign. But when she's questioned about the misinformation campaign, she says, I can't prove this, but you can't disprove it. Firstly, you made the claim, so you have to prove it. This is like old school YouTube atheism versus religious people all over again. So, 5. She also says that the website was just a splash page, but she clearly says in her promotion for the website and her Q&A and whatnot from like way back that they were collecting submissions and that the website planned to launch with submissions. If it does collect submissions and it functions in such a way, it is not a splash page. The entire time she was saying it was a splash page as if she was absolutely certain that's what it was, but when she went into the debate she says that now it was just an email that her web designer sent her and that she doesn't actually know what a splash page is. And then when it's pretty much agreed upon what a splash page is and she now knows what it is, she still uses this interchangeably with the idea that the website's an archive. So this is basically jumping across two different contradicting things and saying that they're the same thing. She was clearly just doing that, even though now it was established that she had at least a bit of an idea of what a splash page is. I mean, I'm not a web designer, but once you explain to me what a splash page is, I have an idea of why it contradicts the idea of a functioning website. Okay, number 6. So in Tree of Logic's video, she points out that there was a Twitter account called Social Autopsy or Social Coroner or something, and she connected it to Candace. And there was a tweet by Social Coroner saying that they were fully funded and they were going to launch. So then Candace, when this was brought out by Blaire, I think, Candace said that she never did that and it never happened. When the tweet is clearly there. So why lie about that? Because if you really had a change of heart, wouldn't you just be open about this and say, yeah, I made that tweet and I retract that and now everything is fine. I acknowledge that. That would be okay. I mean, pretty much everything that I've said before could pretty much be nitpicks and people could easily just explain it away and I'd be fine with that. I'm not saying that those are just concrete things. That would be fine, but this one thing here is the thing that I have the biggest problem with, because this is blatantly a lie. Anyway, so now I'm just kind of moving on to a bunch of other small things before I end this. I missed out on a ton of stuff, I know. You're probably yelling at the screen waiting for me to mention it, but if I put everything in this video, it would be longer than the debate itself. So let's move on to some brief other things. So on the subject of Richard Spencer and all of that, she kept flinging around the term alt-right sympathizer, as if this was a grand expose and a grand argument. Okay, I understand in a debate about ideology and political opinions, you could use that term. I mean, it would still be a bit weird to me, it sounds like rape apologist, but fine, I get it. Why would you say it now, though? This isn't really a debate about political opinions. This is a debate about information concerning a website that is doxing people. Any side could dox. This is more just... And even if we're talking about transferring political opinions, someone changing their mind quickly could pretty much be talked about not really acknowledging politics itself, not really going into a political debate. Those are two different things, so why are you using this alt-right sympathizer term as if it's just this really important thing that you have to fling at people and label people with? So next, this is something that genuinely did annoy me. She said that Blaire made an autistic girl cry. So keep that in mind. She says that Blaire did something really horrible, like make an autistic girl cry. In the next sentence, she says that she actually just said this because she wanted Blaire to know what it feels like to have allegations leveled at you. Then when Blaire is trying to talk about this later on, Candace keeps interrupting her and says, I won't let you use this girl as your pawn. Now just hang on a minute, did you not just say that this was just something, like, you referred to it as a test? Why are you talking about Blaire using this girl as a pawn when, in reality, you just said that you did that by making this allegation? Because you are clearly being hypocritical here, especially since this person who you're talking about, who you're calling autistic, actually made a request for you to retract that statement in a DM they sent you and you never replied to that. At least at the time that I'm recording this anyway. And the only reason that I'm showing this DM here is because this person did make it public. She did put it in a reply to another tweet that someone made about this, so it's out there. I wouldn't have used it otherwise. But yeah, so are you not doing the exact same thing? How is this okay? This, along with lying about that tweet, is another big thing that I don't know how this could be explained in a way that doesn't make you look bad. Okay, another thing, and I'm sorry, I'm almost finished, I promise. She says that her site was not any more threatening to dox people than any other site. Like, any site could be used to do that. It wasn't that it was a doxing website, it was just like any other site, it has some issues. But then she talks about how Zoe Quinn was going to use this site as a tool to, like, do SJW things and dox people. And then she said she took it down because she didn't want it to be used as a tool for doxing. That just seems a bit strange, like, I'm not conveying this well, but the way that she phrased it, it sounded like she was saying that it could be used as doxing just as much as anything else, like Facebook or Twitter, but then she's acting like it's suddenly a greater threat than Facebook or Twitter. Not necessarily because it's Zoe Quinn, but just because it is in general, so then she takes it down. Again, another nitpick, but that was just a bit strange. Okay, I'm gonna finish off here. There's this thing I noticed where it was like she was trying to make everything about the debate about her. One time Blaire was trying to start a sentence and then she was going to refer to Tree of Logic, so she started a sentence going tree, and then Candace cuts her off and says, my name is not Tree. As if she just assumed that Blaire would automatically be talking about her, because everything in the debate is about her. I mean, if I heard Blaire saying tree, I'd be like, oh, is she talking about Tree of Logic? Or is she talking about a tree? I wouldn't be assuming that she's trying to say the name of the person in the debate, especially if their name is like right up there. It was just a very odd thing. And then later on when Blaire says that she wants to address the allegations leveled against her by Candace, Candace says, no, this is about me and the allegations against me, you cannot derail this. Blaire just wanted to address the stuff that was leveled against her in the debate itself. She just wanted to respond to you. It's okay if this isn't about you, she just wanted to respond. And the amount of times that Candace screamed at Blaire, it was honestly scary. It reminded me of that dude Destiny and how he debates where he talks really fucking fast and tries to get as much out as possible to baffle and confuse the person who's countering him. It was really like that. This was not fun to watch. This was a shit show. This was not a debate. This was a shit show. And yes, both interrupted each other and jabbed at each other, and both used emotional responses and really snide unnecessary remarks. This wasn't good for anyone, but I think Candace, especially after all of this stuff that came out about her beforehand, this is really not looking good for you. This is very strange. And I'm not trying to make it like I think that you're a horrible person, but you're definitely not making yourself look good, and there just needs to be some very upfront information here. You can't keep doing stuff like this. These were just my thoughts on this. Like I said, I couldn't talk about everything, and feel free to just put your own perspective in here. But these are just points I wanted to address. Oh, and Dave Rubin, please never moderate again.